Good day everyone, my name is Gerald V. Ingles together with my team Azenet Amor Vingel and Ayla Leadecto. I'm going to discuss the evolution of the Philippine Constitution. Constitution, a set of rules that guides how a country, state, or other political organization works. The basic principles and law of a nation, states, or social group that determine the powers and duties of government and guarantee certain rights to the people in it. Branches. The Philippines is a republic with a presidential form of government wherein power is equally divided among its three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. To ensure the government is effective and citizens' rights are protected, each branch has its own power and responsibilities including working with the other branches. Example of executive branch, the law of enforcing body; legislative branch, the law of making body; judicial branch, the law of interpreting body. Power, the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. Example, the power of speech. Responsibilities, the state or a fact having a duty to deal with something or having control over someone. Example, President Duterte has a big responsibility for our country. Everything that covers or under the Philippines government is Duterte responsibility to run in a good way. Rights of the people. Human rights are rights inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. Human rights includes the rights of life and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education, and many more.
Let's proceed to supreme law of land. When we say supreme law of land, it is the law of land which is the whole body of valid laws, statutory or otherwise, existing and enforced in a country or jurisdiction at a particular date. In summary, every valid statute is the law of the land with respect to its subject matter. Sometimes we ask ourselves, what is the highest law in our country? The highest law of our nation is Constitution. What is Constitution? Here in Philippines, we have a Constitution in 1987, which means it is the fundamental law of the land in the Philippines. It also established the structure, policies, rules, and duties of the Philippines government. It contains Bill of Rights or Article 3, and it sets out the state's obligation to promote and uphold social justice and human rights, or Article 8.
Now that we all know the meaning of constitution, let's move on to the importance of constitution. Why is it important to us to have a constitution? So first, we have maintained law and order. Imagine our country without constitution. It will be in chaos. We Filipino will be denied of the rights and anarchy. When you say anarchy, it's a state of a society without authority or a government body without someone to lead, as our society will be in confusion. The second, impose rules and regulation. It is the rules, guidelines, and instructions for doing something right. It is created to manage behavior in an organization or country. On the other hand, regulations are acts made in addition to the laws in the particular country. Regulations are rules accepted legally by the administration. The third protects individual freedom and rights. It is also protects the right of peaceful assembly and to petition the government. It protects against deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The fourth limits the power of the government. It is one whose legalized force and power. It is restricted and enumerated authorities. At maraming kaso na ang nangyayari dito, lalong-lalo na sa United States. United States ay isang gobyerno na may limitasyong konstitusyonal. Nakasalalay ang mga tiyak na prinsipyo at aksyon ng isang konstitusyon ng estado o federal sa kanilang bansa. So now, let's move on to the evolution of the Philippine Constitution. What you're seeing right now is the limits or the timeline of the Constitution in the history of the Philippines. Actually, the Philippines has had a total of 6 constitution, but this topic we will discuss the 3 constitution and the rest in the other group.
Constitution of Biak na Bato. It was signed on December 1, 1897. The Biak na Bato Constitution provided for establishment of Supreme Council that would serve as the highest governing body of the Republic. It also outlines certain basic human rights such as freedom of religion, freedom of press, and the rights to education. Biak na Bato Republic Emilio Aguinaldo established his headquarters in Biak na Bato in Bulacan Province. The news immediately spread throughout the country. The revolutionaries were once more high in spirit. General Elni Herrera, who was in Nueva Ecija, declared his support for Aguinaldo. In July 1897, Aguinaldo established the Biak na Bato Republic and issued the proclamation stating the following demands. Cuban Constitution was also drafted by Felix Ferrer and Isabelo Artacho. Pedro Paterno, a Spaniard born in Philippines, Primo de Rivera, packed up Biak na Bato with Pedro Paterno and Emilio Aguinaldo in order to end clashes. Paterno efforts paid off when on December 15, 1897, the pact he signed as the representative of revolutionaries and de Rivera as the representative of the Spanish government. The leaders are Emilio Aguinaldo, President, Mariano Trias, Vice President, Antonio Montenegro, Secretary, Valdomero Aguinaldo, Treasurer, and Emilio Rego de Dios. December 23, 1897, General Celestino Tejero and Ricardo Monet on the Spanish army arrived in Biak na Bato. Aguinaldo will receive 800,000 Mexican pesos as remuneration to the revolutionaries and amnesty. Aguinaldo left Hong Kong on December 27, 1897. Some Filipino generals, however, did not believe in sincerity of the Spaniards. The Biak na Bato Pact fails. The Filipinos and Spaniards did not trust each other. As a result, periodic clashes between two groups still took place even after Aguinaldo's departure from the country. The Spanish did not pay the entire agreement.
Now let's travel back on 1899, Malola's Constitution. In our Philippine History 101, teacher discussed that Philippine was a hopeless case until the Spanish-Filipino Agreement came. The agreement was the called Pact na Biak na Bato. The Spanish government agreed to grant self-rule to the Philippines. In 3 years, Aguinaldo go to exile and surrender the Sor. Aguinaldo agreed the idea to went to Hong Kong. However, it is the tiny problem of this agreement. The Filipino and the Spaniard did not pay that out of agreement. Likewise, Shatter the Filipino did not surrender their Sor as the arms. As the result, the agreement was the complete failure. This forced Aguinaldo go back to the Philippines and declared the Philippine independence from the Spain on June 12, 1898 at Kawit, Cavite. The Filipinos were happy with the idea of it being independent. The Philippines is a colony, so Spain sold to the Philippines to the United States. The Filipinos were not happy with the idea of being colonized. So Aguinaldo forced the issue of degree following a Malolos Congress, which is the committee. He was signed to make constitution for the first Philippine Republic. So 3 days after, The first Philippine Republic established the Malolos Constitution is also called the 1899 Constitution and the first Constitution for the first Philippine Republic and the first Republican Constitution in Asia. Isang revolusyon ang pinagsimulaan ng Katipunan, ang lihim ng kilusang kahahalintulad ng organisasyon ng Freemasonry o pinamunuan ito ng Pangulo ng mga kataas-taasang kapulungan o Supreme Council na si Andres Bonifacio para sa layuning makamit ang kasarinlan ng Pilipinas mula sa mga pananakop ng mga Espanyol.
Next is the Commonwealth Constitution of 1935. What is the Commonwealth Constitution? The Commonwealth Constitution of the Philippines was the administrative body that governed the Philippines from 1935 to 1946, aside from a period of exile in the Second World War from 1942 to 1945 when Japan occupied the country. So what is Commonwealth Constitution? The Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Philippines provided for a presidential system of government with a unicameral legislature, or what we call one-chambered, that describe a governing body. It has the power to enact laws of the Philippines, known as Commonwealth Acts, through the National Assembly. So, why is it important? The 1935 Constitution provided the legal basis of the Commonwealth government, which was considered a transition government before the granting of the Philippine independence with American expired Constitution. The Philippine government would eventually pattern its government system after American government. In summary, the Commonwealth era is the 10 years transitional period in the Philippine history from 1935 to 1945 in preparation for independence from the United States as provided for under the Philippine Independence Act, or more popularly known as the Tiding-McDuffie Law.
And that's all. Thank you for listening.